everyone, and welcome to the Manheim podcast. I'm Lance Helgeson with Cox Automotive in Manheim, and I'll be your host for today's conversation. I've got two special guests with us today, Michael Spinazze, General Manager of Nissan of Fort Myers, Florida, and Denaley Higgins, the Senior Client Services Specialist for Manheim, who works close with Mike. And we're here today to talk about Mike's strategy for wholesaling vehicles through Manheim channels and marketplaces, and how that makes a difference for his business. Before we do that, though, let's set the table a little bit. Mike, Denaley, welcome to the podcast. How about telling us a little bit about your background in the car business and your role at the dealership today?
All right. I've been in the dealership business for 25 years plus. I'm a graduate of Northwood University and started in a dealership selling cars. Sold cars for a while, went into the finance department, did that for quite some time and moved up to the desk, sales manager, GSM, general manager, partner, and now I'm a general manager and I own part of a few dealerships in this group. I've been with two different groups in my career, and I've been at this store, Nissan of Fort Myers, for like 25 years.
Wow. So you've been there pretty much the whole time. Is that right?
Been here the whole time, and I've worked with some other stores, owned a few, partnered in a few other stores. And, I'm actually a partner in the Genesis dealership next door and Nissan of Cape Coral as well.
And what's your volume there at the dealership, just to give our folks a sense of new and used car volume there?
New and used car, we'll do anywhere from right now 250 to 300. We have done 500 plus, but right now the way the business is 250 to 300, somewhere in between there every month.
And that's split evenly between new and used?
It's probably 2 to 1 used right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Denaley, real quick for our listeners and viewers, what's your background and what do you do for Manheim?
Hi, I'm Denaley. I've been with Manheim for almost 3 years now, and I am a solutions executive. So I just go around and help our clients like Mike in any way we can to be successful together in the marketplace.
Cool. Well, thank you both for the introduction there. And one other little factoid, Mike, are you guys, how'd you track in CPO sales for 24? Because I know you got some banners in the dealership. You guys have been ranked at the top of the heap for quite some time.
Yeah, we've actually probably in the last 5 years have been one of the top if not the number one CPO dealership for Nissan in the United States, top 3. So we've been pretty successful moving the CPO units. It's one thing we're actually really good at.
Okay, well maybe we'll talk a little bit about that too, in addition to wholesaling. But as a first question, as it relates to wholesaling, Mike, how would you describe your strategy? How do you think about wholesaling cars, maybe compared to the way other dealers might?
I think the best thing that we do is when we're appraising the car, the decision's made right then and there if we're going to wholesale it or if we're going to retail it. So if we end up acquiring that car, we already have our exit strategy and we get to the wholesale very quickly. It's not like we're going to let the car sit around the dealership, maybe try it on retail, see if it goes. If we determine it's a wholesale car, it's going to the sale that exact week.
Now I will tell you that day one exit decision is admirable. I don't hear that as discipline in such a disciplined way all that often. But how did you guys arrive at that understanding that we're not playing games here? We're going to make that call right now.
Well, if you consider your wholesale like a lot of dealerships consider their retail, you're on a turn, and anytime you hear the word age, it costs dollars. So if you let your wholesales age, it's just like they won't depreciate as much, but if you get them to the sale as quickly as possible, you're gonna get out of them quickly as possible at the highest dollar.
And let me understand a little bit about what the trigger points are for that wholesale exit decision, Mike. Is that if you're just not seeing any retail gross potential, or maybe it's the condition of the car, or what are those factors that lead you down that path?
Mileage, year of the age of the car, obviously condition. The last thing we would want to do is retail one of our customers something that's knowingly going to have an issue. And I mean, people trade for different reasons. They're either tired of their car and they just want a new one, or there's something pre-existing with the car they're trading in. And do you really want to pass that problem on to the next customer? So we make an educated decision. And if it's something that's, edgy, we'll run it through our shop first to see if it passes the inspection. If it passes inspection, normally we'll put it on the lot to retail, unless it's a higher mileage or older car. Even if it's a nice car, we'll wholesale it. I think it's the best way to get out of the car.
So for every 10 cars you guys might wholesale, what percentage of them are reflective of that day one exit?
I would say 90% of those.
90%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how do you, what are the tools you're using to make that call? What are some of the financial things you might be looking at to make that determination?
We'll kind of look at, we use your tool, Viato, obviously, when we look at, what's out there in the market, how fast they're turning. Mm-hmm. If it's, there's a lot of these cars are specialty cars too, where there's not a lot of them. I mean, we're a Nissan store. So if we trade for, say, a high mileage Nissan Rogue, obviously there's going to be a lot of them out there, and we'll just, probably run it to the sale just to turn the metal into money real quick. But that's basically it. This is what's out on the market and how fast it is to turn a car.
Now, Delaney, you work with a number of dealers. How would you compare what Mike's just shared over the last couple of minutes with what you see in practice, maybe at other stores?
Very rare. And I wish there was more of it, because I think he's a great partner. He's very successful. And I always recommend people to kind of follow in those footsteps. Excellent.
And Mike, in terms of number of vehicles, I know month to month it might be a different number, but if you had to average that number, what would it be?
Well, it's anywhere between 45 and 85 cars over the last 2 years. I just did an analysis. Crazy. I just did it like 2 days ago, so I know the exact number. It's anywhere 45 to 85. We got a season in Florida, so seasonal. Obviously, we have more cars to wholesale.
And as you look maybe at your business over the last year, one of the things that we've talked about through Manheim and even Viato, is the idea that wholesaling really should be a profit center. And so I'm curious, as opposed to a loss leader or a break even, if you're doing it right, what's been your experience there, and what do you find on maybe a per copy basis you're able to achieve at wholesale?
I think if you can achieve any type of profit in wholesale, if it's a couple $100 a car, you're probably successful. One thing that you really got to do is be disciplined on your number. I mean, if you're looking at wholesale cars, let's say they're $500 to $2,000 cars, mm-hmm. A lot of guys that I've worked with in the past or other dealers, if they're trying to make deals, instead of just taking the loss up front on the new car, they're bumping these trade-ins and thinking it's going to go away. But when you bump a $500 car, $1,000, you're bumping it 300% of the value of the car. If you do that 10 times in a month, you're going to have a wholesale issue, and you're just better off to take the loss on the new car deal and put the right money in the wholesale.
Well said. Well said. And as you think about you made the point a minute ago, Mike, that we make the decision, we're disciplined about the exit decision, and age matters, and you want to get them sold as quickly as you can. So how do you do that? And I'm curious, across the marketplace, as Manheim might offer, is there a pecking order where you might try in lane first, or how do you guys handle that?
So we'll do in lane on the stuff that that we're pretty sure what it's gonna bring, like the older stuff, the higher mileage stuff, kind of the cars we were talking about. We'll use Manheim Express on an oddball unit. Like I said, we're a Nissan store. We get a lot of Nissan buyers. Say we take in something odd like a Subaru or something like that, mm-hmm. and we're not too sure on the value. And you use Viato and you look at what the market's bringing in certain areas, and it's just a car that we're not familiar with. We'll put it on an OVE and set the floor maybe a little bit higher than what we think, just to see what the real value of the car is, see what kind of bids come in. Because no dealer really knows what a car is worth. It's worth what you sell it for, and it's you can use all these tools, but it's worth whatever money, whoever the highest bidder is what it's worth.
Yep.
So that's kind of go ahead. That's kind of our strategy on the oddball piece that we listed on OVE first.
And on the in-lane side then, so it sounds like most stuff goes to the physical lane. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay. And I've understood when maybe let me ask it this way. When you guys take a car to the lane, what might you be doing differently with that car than other dealers? And I guess I'm driving at, I got to believe your seller reputation matters to you, Mike. So what are some of the things you're doing to keep that reputation standing tall?
Well, we sell everything red light. We clean all of our cars before they go to the auction. And a lot of the cars we do get CR'd. So most of them, I think almost every one we get CR'd. So the buyer knows what they're getting into when they're buying the car, whether it's CR'd high or low. We're pretty full disclosure when it comes that way.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in a little bit. They're always there to rep their cars. I think physically having that presence and knowing that they're there to sell has created this following, and as they get them there on time, which allows these buyers to see them at their convenience right after the sale we have for the next week. It makes a big difference.
And Mike, you mentioned that you did some analysis over the last couple of days. Do you measure kind of your first run efficiency? Is that something that you track?
It's crazy because we're probably at this market, our sell rate is probably close to 100%, because when we go, the car is getting sold. It's regardless if we're making money, losing money, it's getting sold that day. And that's like Delaney said, that's kind of our reputation. We're going to sell all of our cars. If we got 10, if we got 30, whatever the number is, they're all getting sold that day.
So you don't necessarily, you may set a floor on them, but you're not, if it doesn't happen, the goal is to sell it.
It's to sell it. We don't want to bring them back. We don't want to, we don't want to do, because it's going to end up running the next week or 2 weeks later or wherever it's going to run. And people are going to identify you running the same car. It's going to bring the same bid, probably less.
And let me. So I appreciate how you guys think about this, Mike. Let me flip the script here just a second. So it sounds to me like you're pretty much willing to take in anything because you guys know how to move them, whether it's retail or wholesale. I guess I'm wondering how you view that, the strength of your wholesale operation as a contributor to the success of the retail side. How do those two work together for you?
If we couldn't have an out for cars that we took in, we wouldn't be able to be in the retail business. If there's no out for the car, even if it's wholesale, people have stuff to trade. They want money for the trade. If it runs, if it doesn't run, and we need something to turn our metal into money. So without wholesale, I guess there is no retail. If there's somebody that's trading, it's the best I could probably answer that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it seems to me like you're able to play ball maybe a little more on the retail side because of the strength of, meaning you might buy stuff off the curb, even though you're not planning to retail it.
Yep.
If it gets a customer and maybe it's another car deal.
Mm-hmm. We've done that. We bought cars off the street and not necessarily we retail them. We ran them to the sale, and you're right. Few of those customers we have turned into retail sales. So.
Very good. Now, I also understand, Mike, that you guys you mentioned Viato, you use Manheim, and I think you use dealer.com also at your store. How do you find those solutions work together for you? Or maybe another way to think about it, why have you gone to Cox for those solutions, and why do you stay with us?
We've been with those solutions in Cox for so long, and I think they're the best tools in their respective spots in dealerships, appraising tools, marketing cars, Viatos. I mean, second to none, I think. And you know the tool very well. You learn the enhancements that it comes with. Dealer Track, I've used Dealer Track forever. I don't think there's a tool that compares to Dealer Track. It's user friendly. Auto Trader, I don't think there's a dealership in the nation that should not be using Auto Trader. I think you have to be on Auto Trader, even though some guys are like, well, they only give us this many leads. Or now, if you're not on Auto Trader, your lead count's going to be down. So all vendors are going to fight over where the lead came from first. But I think your tools or Cox's tools are probably the best in the business. And if you're not using them, you're probably doing yourself a disservice.
What's your take on the people we put in the field, like Delaney there?
She's awesome. I mean, we've worked out. That's probably one of the main reasons. And Delaney, along with some of the other vendors that are through Cox, the relationships are fantastic. Something as simple as me forgetting a password to get into my Manheim account. And I would spend hours doing. Delaney's like, this let me handle it. I'm just going to text you when it's done. Let me handle this simple stuff like that to the hard stuff where, we got to buy back a car or something like that. And I mean, they get involved. They're not afraid to hold our hand through stuff. And I mean, that goes a long way. I mean, long way.
Wonderful.
I got to say it's a partnership. I don't think Mike and his team communicating with us and being willing to work together, I think it would be a different story, but back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. A final question, Mike, as you look ahead, we're talking, it's February, fast approaching March, which is kind of hard to believe, but what would you say are your top, we can think beyond wholesale here. As you look at your store, you look at your objectives for the year ahead, what are your top 2 or 3 operational priorities?
Top 2 or 3 operational priorities. Well, we're a Nissan dealer, and I know everybody in the automotive industry reads the news. Yep. And Nissan has its own challenges, and I've been a Nissan guy for 25 plus years, and I've seen ups and downs. And Nissan's, I think, got their act together now, and that's our big focus is trying to. I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we're doing one new car for every 2 used cars.
Yep.
The store used to be pretty much even, sometimes 2 new to 1 used. So I'd like to get back to where we sell more new cars, because that's the best way to get our trades. And the crazy thing is I don't buy many cars at the auction to retail. So we do need to sell more new cars to get this dealership back to where it was, 500 car a month dealership, and used car sales will come with that. And obviously wholesale will come with that as well. That's the biggest priority. Priority number 2.
Yep.
Is and Delaney is a witness to this. My staff, especially my management staff, a lot of my senior salespeople, they've been here for a long, long time. So, I mean, we pay them well. We expect a good job. I expect a lot out of them. Not really a micromanager, but everybody kind of knows what, say, the right hand and the left hand is going to do. So it's part of the deal too. And the longevity of the people that you guys have on your side, like Delaney, there's not a switch over of reps every 6 months. It's the consistency that leads to a good relationship and a successful wholesale strategy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. That makes keeping your people and keeping them productive and happy is probably one of the biggest things you can do, because I think success generally flows from that.
It does. Happy customers and happy employees, and you should be doing pretty darn good.
I love it. Well, Mike, Delaney, thank you for both taking time for today's podcast. I've enjoyed the conversation and learned a fair amount. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And folks listening and watching the podcast, thank you for joining us. And until next time, stay well.